Jane Goodall was the kind of kid who looked at animals not just with regular curiosity, but with a deep sparkling wonder, as if every bird, beetle, and furry creature carried a secret story that she felt destined to uncover someday. She was born in London in 1934, a place full of bustling streets, tiny gardens, and curious corners, perfect for a young explorer who preferred watching earthworms wiggle through soil over playing with shiny new toys. When she was barely old enough to tie her shoes, little Jane carried around a stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee, a gift that everyone thought might scare her, but instead she cradled it like a dear friend, planting the very first seed of the adventure that would change her life and the world. Jane spent hours climbing trees, crawling through bushes, and peeking into hollow logs, convinced that nature was a giant open book and she had been born with a natural instinct to read every single page. She loved listening to birds singing their sunrise songs and watching squirrels leap through branches with the elegance of tiny acrobats, and she developed a talent for sitting perfectly still, so still that small animals would forget she was even there. Her curiosity often got her into funny trouble, like the time she disappeared for hours to watch how chickens laid eggs, leaving her worried family searching everywhere until she finally emerged from the henhouse dusty but glowing with a triumphant smile. She read books about animals as eagerly as some kids devour comic books, and the adventures of Tarzan filled her imagination with visions of jungles, wild creatures, and a life lived under the canopy of trees where mystery lurked behind every rustling leaf. Even though her family didn't have much money, Jane dreamed enormous dreams, believing that passion was more powerful than any obstacle, and she worked small jobs to save up for her future expeditions into the unknown. When she grew older, she traveled to Africa, her heart thumping with excitement as the plane swooped over golden savannas, wide rivers, and distant mountains that felt like the world's most spectacular invitation to explore. Africa wrapped her in its warm, earthy embrace, filling her days with dazzling sunsets, echoing animal calls, and the electric feeling that she had finally stepped into the life she had always imagined. She soon met the famous anthropologist Louis Leakey, whose sharp eyes noticed Jane's extraordinary patience, her gentle spirit, and her remarkable ability to observe without disturbing the animals around her, and he realized she might be the perfect person for a groundbreaking mission. That mission was to study chimpanzees in the wild, a task so daring and difficult that many people doubted whether it was even possible, but Jane accepted it with the courage of someone whose heart had been preparing for this moment since childhood. She traveled to Gombe Stream in Tanzania, a rugged land of steep hills, glittering lakes, and dense forests buzzing with insects, and she felt an almost magical connection to the wilderness around her. Jane pitched her tent near the forest edge, listening at night to the haunting, echoing calls of chimpanzees that drifted through the trees like ancient voices telling tales she longed to understand. At first, the chimpanzees were shy, staying far away and watching her with wide, cautious eyes, and Jane learned that patience wasn't just helpful in science, it was essential. Day after day, she hiked through tangled vines, crept across rocky slopes, and sat silently in the shade of towering trees until the chimps slowly began to trust her presence, approaching little by little like curious children meeting a new friend. She spent hours observing them, how they played, argued, hugged, chased, groomed, and solved problems, and she discovered that they had rich, emotional lives full of tenderness, intelligence, and drama. One chimpanzee changed everything, a gentle male she named David Graybeard, whose soft eyes radiated kindness and who bravely approached Jane one day, taking a fruit from her hand with stunning gentleness. David Graybeard opened the doorway to the entire chimpanzee community, and soon the others began to accept Jane, allowing her to step deeper into their world than any human ever had. Then Jane made a discovery that shook the scientific world like a thunderclap. She saw chimpanzees using tools, carefully stripping leaves from twigs to fish termites out of mounds for a delicious crunchy snack. This was revolutionary because scientists once believed humans were the only species clever enough to make and use tools. But Jane's observations completely rewrote that idea and opened new conversations about intelligence and evolution. Her work revealed that chimpanzees had families, friendships, rivalries, and personalities just as vivid as characters in a novel, and she showed the world that animals were not just creatures to be studied, they were beings to be respected. Jane recorded every behavior carefully, filling notebooks with detailed observations that read like a blend of scientific treasure maps and heartfelt stories of her wild companions. Her findings spread across the globe, earning her respect, admiration, and invitations to speak, but she always felt most at home sitting quietly in the forest with her beloved chimps. As years passed, Jane noticed threats to chimpanzees' habitat loss, hunting, and dangers caused by human activity, and she realized that simply studying chimps wasn't enough anymore. So she transformed from scientist to global protector, traveling the world to raise awareness, speak in conferences, talk with leaders, meet with kids, and inspire change with her calm voice and fierce determination. She founded the Jane Goodall Institute to protect chimpanzees and support communities living near them, reminding everyone that conservation works only when humans and nature thrive together. Jane also launched Roots and Shoots, a program that empowers young people to make positive changes for the environment, and kids everywhere from bustling cities to tiny villages joined her mission with hope and creativity. She became a symbol of compassion, a champion of animals and the earth, her voice soothing yet powerful, her message simple but urgent that every individual has the power to make a difference. Even as she grew older, Jane continued traveling almost constantly, carrying little more than a small bag, a stuffed version of Jubilee, and an endless supply of optimism tucked into her heart. She spoke to classrooms, governments, scientists, and kids, believing that young people were the real heroes who could reshape the planet's future through kindness, curiosity, and courage. Her calm presence inspired millions, and she often reminded everyone that hope is like a seed: you plant it, nurture it, and watch it grow into something astonishing. In forests around the world, chimpanzees continued to thrive thanks to her work, and every time a young chimp swung through the branches or played in the sunlight, it echoed Jane's lifelong belief that nature deserves understanding and protection. Jane taught us that animals are not just creatures in the background of human life, they are our relatives, our teachers, and our companions on this planet we all call home. Her life proves that you don't need superpowers to change the world. Sometimes all you need is patience, love, curiosity, and the courage to follow a dream that feels bigger than yourself. Today, Jane Goodall stands as one of the greatest defenders of wildlife in history, a scientist whose gentle heart and sharp mind shaped our understanding of animals and inspired humanity to rethink its relationship with nature. Children everywhere read her books, watched her documentaries, and imagined themselves trekking through the forest with binoculars and notebooks, ready to discover wonders just like she did. And whenever someone protects a tree, helps an animal, picks up litter, or chooses kindness over carelessness, they're carrying forward Jane Goodall's legacy with every small, shining action. Jane's story reminds us that the world is full of creatures with lives as rich and meaningful as our own, and that our responsibility is to recognize their value and protect the planet we share. Her legacy is a glowing lantern lighting the way toward a future where humans and animals live in harmony, and where curiosity and compassion guide every young explorer who dares to follow the trail of wonder. And so Jane Goodall continues to inspire hearts around the world, whispering gently to every dreamer, go into nature, observe quietly, love deeply, and you will discover the magic hidden all around you.